Welcome in. This is the first attempt at the ASM Taskboard breakdown. So with me, I've got Brian M. Brian, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And PJ Glitch, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks. Thanks for having us, Tanuki.
Yeah, absolutely. So doing a bit of a science experiment here. As we've heard in recent AMAs, the team is trying to be as transparent as possible with their roadmap and progress. So what they've done is created a task board that is available on the site. We'll link to that in the show notes. But the idea is to take an agile methodology and operate through sprints in order to kind of as quickly as possible, complete as much on their to-do list as they can, while flipping the whole alpha concept on its head and providing transparency to the community. So what I thought we would do today is just go around the horn style. Phil, we'll start with you. Some of these you may have never seen before, and that's fine, but let's just take 30 seconds each and get a reaction of, what do you think this means to the project, and kind of dive into it. So let's start in reverse order from what is already complete. Ready?
Yep.
Let's go.
Okay, so AI research refinement, planning productization of AI research going at real. So not quite sure exactly what this means. Obviously, it's using being able to do more. I presume RL is real life, but maybe it's not. So this is one of the tiles that I guess it wasn't obvious exactly what this was, other than it being to do with artificial intelligence research with relating to the AFA game. So yeah, not super clear, or my understanding of it's not great.
Yeah, my thought was, is it a typo? Is it meant to be ML for machine learning? Who knows? Okay, Brian, game server implementation, another completed task. What's your thought?
Yeah, so it looks like this is related to the AFA game, building and testing the game server and architecture. So I'm guessing it's just, the infrastructure that they're using to do the pre-alpha internal testing that the team has mentioned that they're working on right now. Just setting up a server to handle all of that and make sure that they're not going to run into any issues when they launch it to the rest of us, I think.
Yeah, I know the decentralization of training is really a big focus. So let's see what the first party stuff looks like.
Okay, this one, oh yeah, sorry. This one I think looks quite exciting, because this is obviously to do with the law master and the idea of the moon mapping, and that the ASM brain somehow being connected with the moon or land in some way, and that there are 12 different regions that have been discovered on the law. So my guess would be these might incorporate things like Bomber Land and Plunger Land or something like that. But this is quite cool. It makes it quite exciting to think what might be ahead of us.
Yeah, and on the 11th Hour podcast a couple of weeks ago, they talked about, I forget the phrase that was used, but it was basically in the ASM metaverse. So I think that leads us to believe now that there's going to be a separate altered state machine metaverse that will obviously be interoperable and work with all of the other metaverses within the ecosystem and outside of it. But I thought that was pretty interesting, because I don't know that we had heard much about that before, with there being like a specific, altered state machine metaverse, which is awesome.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Josh has got a lot of work on his hands.
He does.
Okay, NFT NYC sponsorship.
Do you want to take that one, or do you want me to go?
You go, Brian.
Cool. So it looks like there's some type of silver sponsorship for NFT NYC. I know a few people from the team will be there. They had mentioned that, Altered Carmen and a couple others, I believe. And also it says Times Square billboard approved. So anyone who's going, let's see some pictures of this billboard that they're going to put up. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I remember the last go around there was NFT NYC. They had Cool Cats covered everything. I think that's Saber's banner. So it's going to be really fun to see some brains on billboards.
Nice. Wow, another law one. So genome fuel source acquired. Not quite sure what this is, but it sounds interesting. And do you know, have you got a feeling for this?
Yeah, I have a guess. So they talked about, again, in that 11th hour podcast, how when you're creating these Gen 2 brains via genome mining, there'll be some sort of mini game involved potentially to help you kind of choose the design a little bit. You'll have a little bit of input. So I'm wondering if the genome fuel source is potentially related to that game and how you can help, give input into the way your Gen 2 brain comes out.
Love that.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool.
All speculation, of course.
Yeah, no, it's fun. All-star animation action names. I mean, I can only imagine that this relates to like the moves that we're going to see.
Yeah, like the
game,
super
right?
kick.
Yeah.
Cool names. Yeah.
At
Makes
South
sense.
by, there was that demo that we saw in AR, and everyone was kind of trying to guess like how that ultimate kick came about. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's cool. Implementation of training. So passing, tackling, shooting training. So I guess this is the idea of, and obviously we've been given a bit of alpha here to some degree, but we've been told that you can kind of nuance the sliders on what you train your players for, either as a team or potentially individually. And I guess the idea is you can focus on these three areas within that set of options. So that's quite cool. I don't know whether there's going to be like another derivative or further refinement within that, like long passing, short passing, or whether teams, individuals. But either way, they've completed. Oh, this is in testing as well, isn't it now? So yeah, they're obviously testing how that works, which is cool.
All right. I assume they mean all-star claim contract audit.
Ooh, all stars, yeah.
Yep.
Unless
So
that's clever.
So it's auditing for the new all-star claim contracts in progress. So they obviously have finalized the all-star claim, which we heard is no longer strictly a reverse claim, I believe Suda said. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I think we're starting to make the assumptions that there could be a little bit of a reverse claim element in there, maybe a rarity element to it, maybe something else. But it sounds like
there was some talk about factions as well, wasn't there? Like, bringing in the idea of the bombers and the plungers to the claim process, which I couldn't kind of work out how that might work. So either I've misunderstood it or I'm not clever enough to work out how that could be part of the process.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, everybody's been asking when Asto for All Stars, and if it's in testing, it's close.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So teaser websites. This is in testing. A teaser website for the next Legend. So that, I mean, we've seen a little bit of footage, and then I think again the 11th hour. I think it was the 11th hour. David had a background with one of the other tiles, but part of the idea of what they're going to do with the next Legends. And he mentioned I think it was on the AMA, that this is going to be the first proper marketing push within ASM, ASM kind of gaming ecosystem, where they're really going to be obviously, putting some money towards this project as part of the ABG group of companies. So really exciting.
Yeah, they've done everything so well. I can only imagine they do marketing well. So we'll see how it goes. Update FAQ knowledge base, updating our FAQs to reflect more current knowledge. That's for the AFA website. It's in testing. Brian, what do you think?
Sounds pretty straightforward. I'm guessing they're going to answer stuff that we talk about a lot potentially in the Discord. Maybe some new stuff in there, maybe some alpha to be dropped in there that it will be kind of casual.
Yeah, one of those easy to pick up, hard to master concepts. So this will be really key for that scalability of the project.
So build training to visual inference demo, demonstrate some simple training. So I guess this is just part of it says AI research as well. So, but this is potentially talking about the training and then how that flows through to the actions within the game, maybe more about the educational element of that. But
so David said in the Discord the other day that they're working on hopefully a working demo for us to see. said it might slow down development a little bit, but they really want to get that out. And I'm wondering if that could also be part of this training. So if they're trying to build something to demonstrate how the training is going to work, it could be part of that, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
So Unity game dev related ML agents focus on skills-based research.
That's a tongue twister.
Yeah. What do you think about that one?
I think that they're going to have standardization for what happens during training. And when they talk about the knobs and levers that are turned, and that's really the gamification of it, and then we get to watch the results thereafter. I think it's really important to have that AI research really buttoned up so that they use it as a true POC for independent game devs to be able to take it and run with it in whatever world environment they want to create.
Yeah, this one's alluding to what I talked about before, which we saw in the background on, I think it was the 11th hour, where you had a boxer performing the moves in the suit and then having that captured within the animation, which looked really cool. I know they talked, I think David on the Discord was talking about that. What do they call it? They call it the uncanny, what is it? Where something looks too real that it doesn't kind of work. Uncanny Valley, do they call it?
Uncanny Valley, yeah.
And so capturing that, so it's good. So that's obviously in progress. So we know that they've captured some because we've seen the leaks, but obviously there's more. They're continuing to capture all of the fighting action for the next Legends game.
It looks so good. Review infrastructure training performance, again, in AI research and something that's in progress. You have some thoughts on that, Brian? I know you're just about to jump in.
I was about to start reading it, but I guess my best guess at that is potentially reviewing how the training maybe works with the gyms. So like the actual miners potentially internally. That would be my guess, is making sure that the infrastructure to support those miners will actually work going forward, but I'm not sure.
Tough stuff. All right. Validate, pass, shoot, tackle, reward. Ooh.
Yeah. So obviously we were looking at, so I don't know if this is doing it as a reward-based AI training where by a pass being successful, the agent knows that the pass successful, there gets some sort of reinforcement learning process. And that's what this is referring to. Because the reward, obviously, when I've looked, I'm not that familiar with a lot of the AI stuff, but from one of the videos I've seen, that's kind of, they need to know that what they're doing is a goal. And I guess a pass or a shoot or a tackle, has it been successful or has it not been successful? So I'm guessing that's around that, but not 100% sure.
My thought was that like you'll get bonus points for a combo, rather than having one AI that's really strong that's going to take the ball from the goalie on your team and just run it up the field and score. Like the more you're playing as a team dynamic, like a killer combo or something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
So the next one is building All-Star Claim Cortex UI, building the interface to access the All-Star Claim. That one seems pretty self-explanatory. It'll probably be just like the brain claim, but with all-stars. I'm sure it'll be.
Everything they've done on the UI side has been so cool, hasn't it? Like everything's so easy to understand.
Yeah. Thank you, Bear, for everything you do. All right, moving right along.
Yeah, so it says this is in progress. I mean, we've seen from the leaks they've had the design of the Gen 2 brains, which looked amazing. In fact, a lot of the ones they threw away, I thought also looked amazing. But and then the release mechanism, which I guess obviously we know with the genome mining that they're going to be released. I guess one of the big things that we've talked about and that's relevant is the emission rate for brains going to be the same if you've got 1,000 ASTO or 10,000 or 100,000? Do you get 1, 10, 100 multiplier? And I guess in a way I kind of feel like you should, but I know they want to try and make sure, historically they've talked about making sure that people have got a team, but then obviously now we know Atom own however many million ASTO, so but they're going to mine the brains for their cars, are they then going to continue to mine brains after that? In which case, there's a lot of brains potentially especially from one big pot. But the team will obviously, work out the best way and via the DAO, and then obviously the DAO after that as well.
Yep.
Oh, I think we missed one, didn't we?
Yep. There we go.
So the all-star claim design and scope for all-star claims. I think that kind of wraps into the one a couple above, where they're just kind of working through the final aspects of that all-star claim and want to make that easy via the Cortex website to figure out.
Yeah, really interested. I'm obviously very impatient to know how they can do that. However they do it, I don't have an issue with. But I know obviously a lot of people want rarity who paid up for rarer things, and other people that don't and got basic don't want to have a smaller share. So the last time I looked, I think the All-Stars are trading more or less at the floor of Asto if you assume that rarity doesn't get anything additional. So it's correct. Even if you don't, there's still going to be a big chunk of that price will be kind of given to you in Asto, which is brilliant, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
very fortunate.
Awesome.
Game logic cinematic. I guess that's just like a bit like a trailer or a video that will show the logic of the game and how it's working and how to win, or I guess the purpose of the game.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the biggest requests from the broader community is, give us a little taste of what's to come. So it's going to be a huge milestone for them to release the game demo. I think it's also going to draw in a much broader audience when that's done.
Contract interface for all-star claims. Prepare the interfaces for the all-star reverse claim contract. I think I keep getting all these ones, but I think it just wraps into the same thing. The same thing we're mentioning. Just it sounds like a lot of preparation for these all-star claims. So I think the takeaway here is, like we said earlier, we're getting pretty close there.
Yeah, you've got kind of an educational piece, you've got a UI piece, you've got a explaining design piece, then you've got a contract piece, and you've got the audit piece. So there's a lot of all leading to the same goal, but obviously they need to break it down into the various teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, arena animations.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah, so creative and technical workflow. So not quite sure about that the text within it, but arena animations, I presume, means that we're going to see kind of a bit more about the arenas rather than just, obviously we've seen the animation within some of them, haven't we? Like the flowing river on the hotcakes one, I think we saw. So potentially they might show more of those, or it might just be more depth. We might see stuff that we haven't seen before potentially.
Yeah, I'm guessing when they're maybe for like because I believe, if I remember correctly, they're doing this as an NFT drop to boss holders. So I wonder if the NFT itself will actually have some more motion to it rather than just be a static image that we've been seeing so far.
Ooh, I'd like that. That
is exciting. Set up for rarity tools, setting rarity scale for different traits for the AFA website, also in progress.
And I guess this one of those, like, to me, like rarity is just such a weird thing in all of these NFT projects, where some people get so hung up on rarity and really care about, there's only so many of these. We were talking just off camera before we started recording about like the seekers and the various stickers and the chassis and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're all just like, they're all amazing, but in the nature of the environment these things are launched in, I can see why they want to make sure they've got an accurate rarity scale, but I'm guessing a lot of it could change in the future as obviously people lock down their profiles, and so it'll be an ever-evolving, changing thing. So and they're obviously doing that within the AFA website instead of a third party, which is interesting.
It could also be tied to the reverse claim. It'll kind of give justification for the way that they chose the rarity mechanic if they did indeed choose to use one.
Yeah.
All right, so integrate evaluation task into the training pipeline, collecting game statistics for newly trained teams.
Oh, I like this.
You want to go ahead?
No, you go. I just meant I like this title.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I have to think that one through for a sec. Integrate evaluation task into the training pipeline.
One of the things that pops in my head is, if you're going to sell, for example, a brain based off of what you say it's good at, how do you actually know that that's what it's good at? So maybe these are the statistics from the memory tree that kind of accumulate for you to say, yeah, this is the brain I want to buy, or I want to buy a striker. Here's where I'm going to go to look for that.
But there's even, I mean, like when you take it to another level, I mean, it's a huge data science project to have. I mean, like from my point of view, I'm kind of thinking, okay, I want to train my brains with various players. I might want to do different combos. Then I might want to combine certain players together with a new team, see how they perform. And it's obviously can get very, very messy very quickly. But also what's messy in one way is also just really exciting and evolving and allows you that extra level of gamification of the whole process. So I guess that's what they're trying to make sure you've got the statistics that you can do to say, that training didn't give me what I wanted. I'm going to try and remove part of the memory tree, for example, and then combine that with this other player I've got on my other team. Or you could obviously take that to an nth degree. But I think that whole thing is one of the bits that most excites me, is like how you get the best teams from your combination if you're fortunate enough to have more than one.
Yeah. Another element in that also, from what we've heard, but I don't think this has been confirmed, is that there might be different leagues and stuff depending on the amount of training your brain has had. So I wonder if there's an element of that in there where it's like you have to be able to segment those a little bit, so you don't have AI brains that have had tons of money and time put into training competing against fresh Gen 2 brains that haven't.
Yeah. So I think we just talked over the last one.
No, all good. I was just going back to see if there was any element of like pairing a competitor against one another based off of, Brian, what you just said around, you're not going to get your butt kicked because your brain is fresh and this brain is tenured, striker. But I don't see that.
I think they talked a while ago about like being equally matched, so that it's compared. So I suppose that's like newbie brain, right. Newbie teams will be, because it'll be silly if it's like my guys have been in the gym for a week. Your right. guys who can barely walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, obviously. Oh, sorry, missed that one again. Build an internal interface to train basic AFA models.
So this is on the to-dos. So we're moving away from closeness of completion and the things that we're going to see further down.
When it says like to train basic AFA models, ASM employees will be able to play a pre-alpha version of AFA. I'm guessing my read of this is that there's going to be a pre-alpha version of AFA for internal employees to play, but the wording of it doesn't, like, maybe is a little bit more complicated than that, but I think that's what they're saying.
And the way David had spoken about it before made me think that there might already be a crude model, and this is talking about an interface specifically. So I'm wondering if like it's something right now where the devs can play around with it a little bit, but for people like us that don't have that kind of experience, that they could put something together so that everyone internally can test, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Stress test training evaluation pipeline, trying many different configurations of trainings and see if it breaks. So it sounds like they're kind of just pushing the limits of a lot of the different training methodologies they're employing to see if they can find any weird anomalies of
that's kind of that, like I was saying before, that's part of the excitement is, and you might have where you've got a team where one person is really massively trained and you combine them with three not so well trained, but can those four still get additional training, or is that person maxed out on his training, that and things like that. I suppose they just want to try all those weird things that people might do, even if they don't appear to be the logical step. So
it could be interesting with the AFA team dynamic too, because if you end up having to train all of your brains together as a team, like you're saying, the different combinations you can put together, it could yield some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah,
not to mention what more of the tech savvy community members reference, which is the profitability and the GPU compute that goes into training AI. So we'll see if they can scale that appropriately and then kind of pass the baton.
Last one. Genesis Brain Origins, a story of how the brains came to be. That seems pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, the Glitch Twins, based on the short teaser video that we've seen. So
yeah.
You know what threw me about the Glitch Twins are that it doesn't look, so I've obviously got two bosses, that one's a player 1 boss, one's a player 2 boss, but they both look like player 1 bosses to me. It could just be the angle because you're kind of slightly from behind, but they both look like the rounder. And I wondered whether it was like the clone, like the babies of them in some way, or give the like a shortcut to do the video. But it was interesting when I was watching. I was thinking, I wonder if I should read more into that then, but probably not. That's the problem with the whole ecosystem, isn't it? You're kind of constantly looking for, was that a spelling mistake, or are they trying to tell me something there? Have they capitalized the R there for some reason or not?
They push the boundaries of you thinking you're clever or insane.
Yeah, or stupid. Yeah, exactly.
Whiteboard materials and aluminum foil sales have skyrocketed in the communities that all of our team members are in. All right, guys, that's the end of it. Thanks for round 1 of the ASM Taskboard breakdown. We'll bring in some new challengers next time, but stay tuned.
I think what I found quite interesting there is a lot of them are really obvious, but it does show you that it's really useful working through these tiles, but that potentially what we see on the tile could be a little bit more user friendly and a little bit like sort of user language rather than team language maybe. But you know, if the purpose of sharing it is to give us more feedback on what's happening, it might be easier to direct that language more towards what makes sense to us.
No doubt.
It could just be that you've chosen 2 of the less clever contestants for this first round. Well, clearly by the AI inference it means blah blah blah. But,
lucky for you, Phil, we haven't implemented a point system, so
no, we're the lab rats. We'll
call it an everybody wins day. But that was one of the more overwhelming pieces of feedback from the last AMA when David asked about what can we do with Taskboard. It's help us connect the dots between each of these individual sprint items and what that means for the overarching roadmap. So we'll see how it changes. I think the next update is going to be this Friday later in the week, so we'll see you guys back here for that session if you're willing.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, Nick. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Brian.
Good to see you again. So much.